All right. How's everybody doing this morning? Personally, still in process of waking up a little bit. But it's time to go over the the deals available to us this weekend in Canada and try to find if something new happened overnight. Published tech we're buying yesterday for the condensed version of this, but the goal of those live stream is mostly to give you a chance to well, basically ask me question live. Let me know what your plans for the weekends are, and maybe I can help you with that a little bit. So let me know. Behind me, you're seeing essentially which link I'm currently updating on TekAdvisor.ca. And yeah, feel free to ask any question you have. Just all right. So I'm up a little later than I'd like today. So this is probably going to be a fairly short stream. Well, compared to by my Saturday standards, anyway. Just had a tough day yesterday, and didn't manage to nap the way I usually do. So here I am, an hour or two later, on the next day, doing my morning updates. And so far, everything seems to be going well. Got my fresh coffee. So, just a matter of going through all the offers available to us this morning. Some people read the paper in the morning. I go online and update pricing and availability data on my site instead. So we tend to keep things relatively zen. Mm-mm-mm. It's a process that involves quite a bit of window juggling in the morning. I'm not necessarily sharing my screen the way lots of streamers do, simply because, well, you'd be looking at a lot of pages loading and progress bar and all that sort of stuff. So instead, what I'm showing is a summary of what the current device is capable of and the compatibility list, so you can easily see um, basically what is this computer capable of. So yeah, currently I'm going through what is currently popular on my site. Ah yeah, I remember that entry being bugged on Best Buy's website, but essentially it's out of stock everywhere right now. They say they have it available for new as well, but that link on their site is dead currently. So yeah, we'll have to go to the next one and find something else uh, for our computing needs. Not exactly difficult to find a good 15-inch laptop in that price range these days. Screen resolution's not quite what I would recommend for most people, but well, not for me at least. I tend to prefer my screen to be using the full HD. Well, most 15-inch laptop in the $500 range usually have a 720p screen on them. Has the benefit of things showing up bigger naturally. So if you're tired of squinting at a screen, it's not necessarily a bad thing. But I tend to multitask quite a bit. I tend to have multiple documents to open at once. It's probably why you're going to notice me looking all around the place. That's because I've got lots of things going on at the same time right now, and I've got a pretty big array of monitors going on at the moment, so that I can keep an eye on everything that's going on. And yeah, I pretty much need something that complicated, sadly. Especially when I stream, actually. Usually I do more things at once. But streaming requires me to keep an eye on quite a few things. But yeah, the whole idea here is to give you a chance to basically let me know what your weekend's plan are. And hope you have a great weekend ahead of you. And if I can help you with finding the right computer, smartphone, or tablet, let me know. It can definitely point you in the right direction. Or at least I can help you kickstart your search. And usually there's not a whole lot of surprises on Saturday morning. Usually most of that happens on Thursday and Friday. If you're curious, that's where most price changes occur. But you never know. So I start with the most popular devices first, and I work my way down slowly during my morning. As I said earlier, it's pretty much my waking up ritual. That is not a retailer I'm used to see even on Amazon. It's got fairly positive reviews so far. Yeah, so worth a shot. It's been well reviewed and used enough to actually be worth taking seriously. Every once in a while you have bogus listing on online marketplaces. I try to filter as much of them out as I can, because the starting idea of TekAdvisor was to try to filter out frustration. I definitely remember that something I frequently experienced back in the day was I would look at tech reviewers and they would basically hype me up on a product, and then I would realize, well, I started shopping for it, and then I realized quickly that that thing was never going to be available in Canada. And that's one of the reasons why TekAdvisor.ca is, well, mostly aimed at helping Canadians find what they need. Simply because there's a lot of material out there for Americans south of the border, and they have pretty great selection down there. Ours is a bit more limited, and some of the more interesting things don't come up here. Although in a few cases, some of the bad stuff that happen down there don't always come up either, so it's not always a bad thing. For instance, my Amazon Prime membership's not going to go up in price this year. That's always a good thing. Yeah, that monitor was part of yesterday's recommendations. So prices is holding up. Sometimes when I recommend something, I sometimes notice is that it's going to go down. Well, it's going to go out of stock in short order sometimes. Yeah, always a little bit unfortunate there. That's definitely one of the things that often happen with the most attractive sale. The more attractive a price is, the more likely the retailer is to run out of stock. It's pretty much just the nature of the beast there. The source currently only has the French version of the Sculpt desktop keyboard and mouse combo right now, so going to mark that as out of stock currently, but if you're looking for the French version, the source might have what you need. And it's back both in stores and online over at Microsoft. Yeah, Best Buy has no shortage, but no real rebate there either. Because Microsoft has a slight rebate on them, as does Newegg, so no change there. And let's see. Oh, price came down quite a bit over at Staples. Went down from 154 to just over $94, which makes them the cheapest price to get that product today. Let's see, this one is Prime, and yeah, it's available. Yeah, sold on Amazon by Mike's Computer Shop. Mike's Computer Shop seems to be doing quite a fair amount of online online retailing on tech products. No change as staples on this guy. That mouse design doesn't seem to be 100% ambidextrous, but it looks fairly close. Because yeah, ambidextrous mouse are pretty hard to come by nowadays. Yeah, the Vortex, which for some reason my RNG seems to really want me to review daily. um, but yeah, Microsoft has still has a few online to sell. A pretty interesting spec in that device. It's just it's a bit pricier than I would pay for that kind of performance, especially considering that it has a relatively weak power supply. But it's a pretty attractive design visually. It's also quite compact, so not necessarily a bad choice for, let's say, a media center or something like that. So if you want to bring your PC gaming to the living room, it's a bit of an expensive way to do it, but if you really want the performance of having a dedicated machine for that, instead of, let's say, streaming to your TV or, you know, more affordable alternatives, it might be the way to go. Maybe that's even your only stationary computer in the house and everything else you own is a laptop. It could be that could be the case. Because yeah, that's one of the thing you don't. It's a good thing to have at least one stationary computer in my opinion. Simply because those don't get roughed up as much as laptops do, so you can basically pipe your backups to it or something like that. So if something happens to your laptop, you have some kind of plan B and can be a good backup solution as well. But the thing is, you don't necessarily need the archetypal computer on the computer desk with a computer chair and everything like that. You can put it in the living room and basically use it as a very, very smart TV. And just to use a wireless keyboard and mouse to use your computer. Yeah, there's lots of suitable places for a computer in home nowadays. Or at least that's what I find. And I did change my workflow slightly lately. Instead of just going to the next link that needs attention, I tend to stick with my current device a little bit longer. So I basically do all the updates on a given device before switching to something else. That way it doesn't jump as fast behind me there. And it's a little bit easier to follow for you guys. It does slow my progress quite a bit so far, so I'll have to see if I can keep things going this way in the future. So far I've done one Friday with that algorithm in, and yeah, I fell behind quite a bit, but a lot of things were acting against me yesterday. I had over 500 links to check up. I still do also. I really I missed an opportunity last night to do a little bit more updates and catch up. So this morning I have a pretty impressive number of links to look after. Yeah, it's still in stores and price hasn't changed. Sorry, I kind of lose track every once in a while. And tends to happen whether I'm talking or not. It's just a little tricky to stay focused in the morning on that much data. Pretty much comparing walls of text at this point, and yeah, it's not the easiest way to wake up in the morning. Slight price change on the Galaxy Tab A over at Newegg. From what I see, there wasn't really in running for let's say, being among the top places to buy the Galaxy Tab A this weekend anyway, so not necessarily a big deal. But I did recommend that device yesterday because there's quite a few rebates on it at the moment. Usually it sells for around $200. There's a few places selling it for $130 right now. And even though the $100 Fire HD 8 from Amazon is definitely a big competitor to it right now, the fact is the Samsung Tab A is connected to the Google Play Store, while Amazon are using their own app store in it, so sometimes some apps might not be available on it. So for instance, on mine, I don't have access to the official YouTube app. I have to use a third-party one, and it works. It's just not 100%, you know? So it depends how much features you need. Sometimes you miss a few, but the big stuff tends to be there, with a few exceptions, like anything called Google something. Well, they probably don't have it on the Amazon store, because for some reason Amazon and Google don't like to play along, and of course we're the one paying for it. Another notable thing that's missing is the mobile version of Microsoft Office. So if you need Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, those are not available, or at least not in the official version on the Amazon store. There's plenty of other apps able to open the same documents though, so you're not necessarily at a loss there. But a lot of people are really want to have the official Microsoft Word, for instance, and that's understandable. It's definitely the market leader in that software segment. All right, it takes me a little longer sometimes to grab some details. In this case, it was the availability status on that one. Yeah, most of the thing I currently track from Mike's Computer Shop are available from their warehouse, but not their own stock, or not 100% clear what that means, but essentially I read this as being available online only for those devices. I've got one or two which are in what they label as Mike's own stock, and that I think is available in their own stores, because I think Mike's Computer Shop has its own retail location. It's been a little while since I've done the research on them. They're very attractive and fairly competitive online. They're a West Coast retailer here in Canada. And I remember them having pretty good review with their clientele there, so they kind of passed my test. I would order there. I think I have to update my research, however. Eventually, I'll have to do more research on NCIX as well. Because I know they went bankrupt. The website is still going, however. I just don't know if they honor the orders that go through there. I know lots of their brick and mortar location closed down, if not all of them. Of course, there was a fairly unfortunate thing to happen. I like to list their custom builds on a regular basis, to be honest. Usually their builds didn't quite compete with Memory Express. That was because of the a few of the design choices they made in there. It's not that they were bad computers or anything like that. It's just I tend to prefer, a computer with paired memory. If I spend over $1,000 on a computer, I'm kind of expecting an SSD in there, not just a mechanical drive. And yeah, most of the time they skimped on one or two of those things. So usually for the same price tag, Memory Express had something I felt more delivered more value for the price than what NCIX was offering back then. Obviously, you could order whatever you wanted from them. You can modify, get your build customized at Memory Express as well. Um, the NCIX website was just a little better on that, however. But yeah, those pre-built system from computer builders is something I like to recommend. You kind of get the best of both worlds in terms of ordering from a manufacturing built system versus buying a custom one. So you get the hardware compatibility research that usually goes into a factory built system. And I mean, they build a lot of those devices, so they kind of go and know how those pieces mesh together. Well, if you ask something custom, they will probably have to adapt a little bit more, and there's probably a few more surprises down along the way. Nothing they won't be able to solve for you, but it might be something you could shake loose if you have to, let's say, format your computer in the future or change a piece of hardware later. So yeah, when they recommend build, usually they've built it enough times that yeah, it's in a case they like to work in. It's on hardware that is easy to make work together, so you have fewer friction to kink out in the future yourself. While if you build something custom, well, there's a few things to resolve usually. It's not something really big for someone that knows someone who knows what they're doing in the computer. But I try to cater as much as possible to people which are not necessarily comfortable opening up their computer and doing stuff inside. Or maybe not yet. Oh yeah, that those recommended builds usually are an interesting source of systems for me, especially when you start to invest more and more in the device. Those things are a bit easier to upgrade than, let's say, the factory built one, which tend to have fewer upgrade options. Not that most people do a lot of upgrade in their computer, but I like having the option, especially for gaming rigs. I would definitely recommend planning getting a new video card in your gaming rigs, let's say 3 or 4 years from purchase time. That way you can get your initial investment to roll even longer for not a lot of extra money, really. Out of stock over at Staples. Oh yeah, it's one of those Optane memory systems. Those are relatively interesting. Optane memory is pretty much like a solid state drive that you do not manage yourself, and it's managed instead by well, an algorithm set up by Intel. So they try to cache on that M2 solid state drive all your commonly accessed files so that they basically load as fast as they would with on a solid state drive, except you don't have to personally worry about it. The downside of it is that you cannot tell the system that, well, I want this app to run really fast. So you kind of have to rely on the algorithm all the time. And those things are essentially SSDs, so they're an interesting option for people that don't necessarily like to get too involved with their own hardware. It's in stores only, and the price is good. Yeah, because it's managed automatically. But price-wise, you could get a better SSD for the same price, and basically you would have more control over what loads fast and what can take a little longer to do. So yeah, I guess that the Optane memory option is a little bit easier. I know a lot of people I've set up computer for with 2 drive, 1 solid state, one mechanical. Don't always think of using the mechanical drive at all. Just put everything on the C drive and run out of space rather quick. So the Optane memory basically handles all that stuff for you instead. So yeah, there's some potential value there, and since it's a bigger cache than you would get in the SSHD, usually they look like a better value there. Interesting. I have a weird slowdown on the website right now, but there's not a lot of visitors there. Was a connection issue with Microsoft. Well, I passed that one manually, so not going to be a huge factor today. I just hope I don't run into that slowdown too much, because those can get a little bit aggravating. Especially since those basically block the website for everybody, my visitors included. So if the site goes unresponsive for something like 30 seconds, it's not a good thing for me at all. Alright, that one's back in stock over at Newegg. So if you were looking for this one, and yeah, that device did get some attention recently, so looks like it's back in stock. Online and in stores for that convertible HP laptop. Definitely not a very strong one, but sometimes the versatility of being able to use your laptop as a tablet and a few things like that has its own merits. It's just a relatively... It's a small, very small laptop while being a very large tablet. And I'm not sure it's very good at either being a tablet or a laptop in that case. So, yeah, I got a few doubts. It's not a device I would recommend for a lot of people. It kind of serves a niche which is very, very narrow. Okay, one link from Staples, which seems to be out of order indefinitely, so we'll stop tracking that. And yeah, Surface Precision Mouse came down in price a little bit more over at Best Buy. It's still online only, however, which is a little strange. Because I mean, it's a Microsoft product. They do sell the Surface devices in Best Buy's location, so I wonder why they don't have the mouse. But yeah, overall, it's a mouse that's worth considering if you would rather do without a dongle on your laptop or anything else, really. It's a Bluetooth device. You can connect it to even several smartphones and tablets if you want. Let's see, the refurbished version still available for the same price online only, because that's the way Best Buy sells their open boxes through their website. No change on this one at Staples. And yeah, the Amazon link was updated automatically. That one is back to being in stores only over at Microsoft. Same kind of deal over at Staples. No change really on that front. Yeah, there seems to be something going on with Microsoft right now. You know what? I don't really need that feature in the update page. So let's do a quick on the fly change to the side there. Let's get rid of this entirely. Same thing here. And don't need the styling either. All right. All right. So let's test this out. This one is available in stores only currently. And if I save this, I should get the new version of my update form without the live check. And I got no error on it, so that should be good. I haven't been using that feature for quite a while. Used to be quite useful back in the day, but yeah, not so much anymore. So I'm raising the price on this one, but I noticed that the price is still the same after the mail-in rebate. So you can save 50 bucks with the mail-in rebate kind of system, but I don't usually consider those in pricing. They're a little bit of a hassle, and I'm not sure how many people actually take advantage of those. So I tend to not factor them in, to be honest. Coupon kind of need to have immediate effect for me to really want to recommend them. All right, and yeah, everything's still working great. All right. Usually you don't try to test code changes in production, but here you are. Testing stuff in production this morning. That one's available online. So I think I'll take this opportunity to go and grab myself more coffee. You're welcome to do the same or whatever beverage of choice you want to go for. And I'll leave you with the current recommendation per archetype. And I'll be right back. All right, and I'm back. Time to go to do some more work. I'm currently sitting at 19%, and yeah, it's only half an hour to noon here. So hopefully I can make my way up to 50% by the time I'm done. Okay, so that link is in stock over at Microbytes. Microbytes is a retailer in the Montreal region. And I know that back in the day when I lived in the area, that's where I would buy my computers. So usually they're pretty legit. And this link is online only currently. All right. Price came up on this laptop over at Staples. Not exactly sure what happened there. And it was out of stock. It's now online only. And yes, I'm checking if I can take a sip of coffee without triggering the microphone. Alright, and now I'm checking this laptop available from PiperTech, which is another retailer from the Montreal region. They specialize in gaming hardware. And I'm considering them for my for those pre-built system I like to list on my site. The only thing that was standing in my way last time I checked them out was that they identified every single part they would use in the build except for the motherboard, and that's kind of an important part. And I like to know exactly what's in a pre-built system before I list it on the site, and so far they haven't quite satisfied that need. But I hope I can add them eventually. And that is, I'm pretty sure that's online only. They're a little bit unclear on their availability data over at PiperTech. That's another downside to that, the way their website is built. A little bit harder for me to recommend them to the full extent I could. So yeah, Galaxy S8, nearly as good as the Galaxy S9. Main difference is the location of the fingerprint sensor is better in my opinion on the Galaxy S9. The camera on the S9 sounds pretty interesting too, but yeah, the camera on the S8 is definitely not a bad one either. It's still one of the best camera out there, so not much of a downgrade except if photography on your smartphone is your top priority. So that one's online only. Same here for the Apple iPhone SE. Best Buy has a very attractive price available on their site, but that's online only. And that's from they selling it from a third party. So I was a little hesitant recommending them this weekend. But it looked legit enough that yeah, I might try it to get an iPhone SE for $200. That's pretty attractive. Gotta say, pretty tempting. Price went up on this Apple laptop over a Newegg. And I think it was part of my recommendation for last week too. For yesterday. Let's see. Westworld still holds the best price there, so it's probably not going to really alter the recommendation yet. As long as Westworld prices didn't go up as well. Seems they didn't. Mm-mm-mm-mm. So still out of stock at eBay, so yeah, I'll get rid of that link, stop tracking that. Bookshelf speakers, those look pretty attractive too. Definitely like how those bookshelf speakers look. Ah, that one was out of stock. It's back in stores, but at much higher price. Still, it's always good to have options on those things. And let's make sure it's the... Yeah, sometimes... Yeah. Let's see, do the specs even match? Because one thing that happens sometimes at Newegg, they start redirecting out of stock links to a device which is in stock but is not the same. And there's not really anything wrong with that. Just that I want to be sure I'm linking to the right stuff. And in this case, it's not the same device ID, but at least it looks like it's exactly the same spec, so I think I'll just say good enough, you know? Oh yeah, apparently it's the same thing. So it's back in stock, refurbished for under $700 with a pretty capable AMD processor in there. Although not that much. Yeah, I like its current $300 price for recommendations. Very attractive at that price point, but almost 700, not so much. Still, options are kind of good. And no change on this device over at Staples. And as we see at Staples, they sell it for less than that and it's free. So if you're ready to pay over $600 for this tower computer, I would probably go in stores at Staples and pick it from there instead. Let's see, Canada Computer still selling it for $230, which is a really good price. It's online only, but you can order it online to go and pick it up in store if you want. If you need a little bit more time to get over there, that's one way to reserve one and protect that pricing. It's still a refurbished device, but let's see, do they say anything about their warranty? So return and exchange 14 days, manufacturing defects 30 days, courtesy warranty repair shipment service for 90 days, manufacturer warranty, which I'm not sure you have one. No warranty, exchange, repair only. Still, at that price, I would consider it. If you're tight for cash and you need something to run Excel and Word and all that kind of stuff and can't afford the latest, greatest stuff, it's a pretty savvy way to save money, in my opinion. Especially, it kind of assumes that you live close enough to kind of the computer retail location so that if problems do arise, you will have some service there, or at least at the beginning. So yeah, if you can't afford anything better, it's pretty hard to beat. It will unlock a lot of doors to you for a minimal investment, and that's definitely a good thing. And if you don't have space for a tower PC in your home, maybe there would be room by the media center. It's not the most compact computer out there, but you could hook it up to the TV and you know, use it using a wireless mouse and keyboard instead of you know, setting it up on a desk if you don't have the space. One thing I've always recommended was to not set up a computer in a room where you hate going anyway. Um, and sure, laptops are great for that, but they're not best value for the price. So if you're a little bit sensitive on the issue of getting your money to deliver the best results, you might want to just hook up a stationary computer, but not necessarily in the computer room. Try to do it in a room where you already spend a lot of time. I find the kitchen is one of the good places. And the living room can be. The only problem with the living room is that if you hook it up on TV, you will end up with some kind of you will end up with conflicts on usage. If you have more than one person in the house, you will likely end up in a situation where someone will want to watch the TV, but they can't because someone else is using the computer. So just keep that in mind. That could become quite annoying, especially if children are involved. If you live by yourself, however, and just don't have a lot of room to deal with, it's definitely something worth exploring. And it's one of the great things with stationary computers. Even the older models stand up pretty well to the test of time, especially if you compare that to either smaller models or a laptop. I have several computers in the home that are over 10 years old and I still use every day. But no laptop I bought in that area still are in use because they overheat too much, the batteries are dead or complicated to um, maintain, or sometimes they are to replace altogether. And sometimes the replacement part are not as good as what used to be manufactured to. So yeah, laptops don't age well, but it's pretty easy to make a stationary computer, especially those tower ones in which you have plenty of space, to make those last for almost a decade, sometimes even more. They just change purpose during their lifespan. You basically specialize them as they become slower and slower. That way they still deliver a pretty useful experience despite not being able to, switch between tasks as fast. But yeah, it's one of the things I wouldn't recommend a refurbished laptop that's over 1 or maybe 2 years old maximum, because you'll run into so many issues, probably all centered around the battery. So yeah, in the used market, desktop computers are much better value. Laptops I consider pretty risky to get secondhand. Alright, I'm nearing 25%. Still not great. Yeah, I've got some work around the house left to do today, so I can't stick around too long. But I would really like to try to get as close to at least 50% of the links updated today before I go. So we'll see what happens there. And it looks like I'm done with all the popular stuff. So at least there's that. And now I'm going through my past weekly picks from tech worth buying. So yeah, the iPod Touch 6th Gen. Didn't pick that one this weekend. Came close though. Definitely a good pick if basically for, you know, mobile games or watching movies and all that sort of stuff, and you don't want to get the a mobile service provider involved. So those are definitely good for kids to stay busy in a car or stuff like that, you know. And considering you can get them for $200 right now, it's still great value. If you already have a smartphone or something like that, it's not as good a value. And of course, there's iPads and all that, but the iPod 6 is all of half the price. And it's among the recommended, well, the approved selection of devices for games like Fortnite, even on mobile. So you could play the game there. And I heard that, yeah, it's not as good as, let's say, the PC version, but does capture the, you know, the essence of the game. So when you're away from the computer, it's a way to get your Fortnite fix. And no coupon over at HP, but this device is back in stock for $900. Just a bit pricier than what Best Buy sells it for. Although Best Buy is selling it, it's an open box, so technically refurbished. So you prefer buying new stuff, HP might be a better place to get it. And let's see, iPhone 7 from TELUS still goes for $755. Of course, that's the full retail price, so that's usually the least attractive price they display. But usually they charge pretty much that price whenever you go for a plan. It's not necessarily the device payments that will add up to that price. So sometimes it looks like getting something on a contract costs less. but often the plans you get on a contract that goes along with a phone are cost quite a bit more. And a lot of those wireless providers, they keep charging you for your device even after you've finished paying for it. So your plan doesn't go down in price once you're done paying. You just keep paying for it even though you make it last as long as possible. So yeah, sometimes it's hard to really know how much a mobile provider is charging you for a device. So usually when I display the real retail price for a smartphone, most people don't really consider it to be real, but let me tell you, it's real. Those things are very pricey, and people are often ready to pay a lot more for their smartphone than they are for a laptop. And there's some reason for that. Uh, in most cases, you will spend more time on your smartphone than you will on your laptop. So there's some wisdom there. Just you get a lot less for your money in terms of what the device can do. If you look at just raw power slash raw versatility for the price. Alright, to get the Galaxy Tab A for 300 at Walmart, you have to buy it online, and that's the white model only. The black model is a bit more expensive. Yeah, it looks like my change sped up the site quite a bit. Good. I'm happy about that. Right, no change at Staples on the iPhone 8. No change here at Microsoft. Same here at Staples. Oh, and one of the thing, I do have a little bit of a challenge with mobile apps. So if you have mobile apps, I haven't included in my database yet, by all means, let me know. Because yeah, I really do want to improve my coverage of those a little bit. Um, Mobile devices is not one of the area where my site gets a lot of attention for. So I tend to dose my efforts accordingly. Uh, However, it doesn't mean I don't want to try to provide good advice on them. Because it's one of those things I'm not someone who's very well, how would I say, positioned to really know in detail what's good on mobile or not. Because I don't need to use them a whole lot. I think the other day my mobile data on my phone was bugged off, and basically I couldn't get data on the mobile network at all. I think it took at least 2 to 3 weeks before I realized, simply because I'm almost always on Wi-Fi, even if when I have to get out of the house, really. So I'm not super aware of what's going on the mobile market. I do try to keep up and list most of what is available and interesting. And I can provide interesting insight on that, I think, through my through the TekAdvisor algorithm. But yeah, software is a little bit of a black hole. I'm really not a fan of how software works on mobile devices. They're, yeah, they're just such a wall of really annoying ads, really despicable business practices, and yeah, really predatory relationship with your customer base that kind of stem from the free to play model. And I'm fine with freemium. I pay for several apps, well, services that runs on server, and I'm more than happy to in most cases. But yeah, apps just take things one step further. In some ways, it's just glorified ways to get more personal data on your users. So usually whenever there's a web version and an app version, I'm going to go for the web version. And most things that only work as an app, I usually pass by, simply because, well, I don't enjoy using my phone that much, to be honest. It doesn't work that well. Because Honestly, if I have choice between a Chromebook using Chrome OS and using the apps from the App Store, I'll go for the web version still. Because usually that's where I find the feature I need. The mobile experience usually don't have the feature I need in order to get my work done. So yeah, I've been one of those person that got into the mobile market really early. But as things evolve, the mobile market is not catering to my needs anymore. Or at least not very much. Alright, that is gone from Memory Express. Yeah, that's one of their old built to order systems over there. They created a new series of those recently. And looks like that is gone. I'll keep an eye on it for just a little longer over at Microsoft. No change there at Best Buy, still online only. Okay, that's online only over at Staples on this one. But for almost $105, probably not going to be a very attractive offer right now. No change on that monitor at Best Buy, still $130. Pretty affordable way to upgrade a desktop or even a laptop fairly easily. Pixel 2. And one more dead link at Dell. Just keep track on that just in case it comes back. And that link, yeah, that's probably not going to come back. So that old Microsoft link, it's time to retire it. Another dead link this morning. and still listed for 150. And it is still available in stores, so we'll keep considering it for that. Alright, and checkout at B&H is currently closed. It's going to open again in a little bit over 7 hours. But if for some reason you would rather buy it from the buy the screen from the United States, price is slightly different from what it was yesterday, but mostly by virtue of American and Canadian dollars value fluctuating. That's a mechanic that only really stopped on Sunday, where the stock market is closed. And there is a rebate on this device right now over at Canada Computer, but sadly it's unavailable everywhere. Still, I'm going to update the price just so, well, people that are still interested in looking at it can do it with well, some data to go on. And no change there at Staples on this gaming mouse. Remember, pretty good reviews of that HyperX Pulsefire mouse there. Again, no change at Best Buy. Nor at Westworld. Alright, so that's stable too. Same here. Yeah, and as thing goes on, fewer and fewer changes are supposed to happen. It means that my workflow is on point. I always try to have the more susceptible prices to change be first. That way, if I have to do an incomplete update job, which is definitely the case today, at least the most important stuff is taken care of. Because yeah, that's one of the thing I do a little bit differently with TekAdvisor.ca instead of just following advertised rebates. I just try to update everything every day as much as I can and track stuff that way instead. And basically, I use device history and global market pricing to identify when something is actually on sale or not. Because it's pretty common to, let's say, one retailer selling things for a little more than some of their competitors, and sometimes whenever they put a rebate on what they sell, sometimes doesn't even make a dent over what the device is sold for somewhere else. So I don't consider that a rebate then. Also, it's pretty effective at identifying devices which are um, come back on sale pretty much every month. That's a pretty common thing. Several devices are more often on at a reduced price than not. So whenever that happens, I usually start considering that the rebate reduced price is the actual regular price. Yeah, $400 for that computer tower. That seems like a pretty good deal, actually. Oh, it's certified open box, and that's among the last ones. That explains why it's priced like that. And since I don't see any new alternative to it, it's probably going to go out of market pretty quick. So still in stores only at Canada Computer on that joystick set. And that is still out of stock everywhere I can see. I remember really liking the mouse on this wireless set. It's a little bit of an older design from Logitech, but yeah, the human physiognomy hasn't changed that much, so yeah, that's still a pretty good design. And yeah, I'm not sure how comfortable you would be buying second-hand keyboard and mouse. You kind of inherit the, how would I say? You inherit some traces from the previous owner, but the Newegg refurbished keyboard and mouse it's manufacturer refurbished. As a result, you can expect that most of that stuff have been cleaned up. So I feel it's an option worth considering. Still, I totally understand if you're not comfortable with the idea. You don't always want to inherit previous owner's germs. Let's see, almost at 44%. And yeah, I'm 25 minutes over what I was hoping to be the end of the stream, but I think I'll be able to push it to until I reach 50% completion here. There's a little something unexpected in my workout order right now, however. So I'll have to see. I'll try to see if I can see what is happening later today. Although I'll probably be too busy to do code changes later in the day, sadly enough. Alright, no change there. And same here. And again, an interesting refurbished option over at Newegg on this set of speakers. They're manufacturer recertified, so they're probably worth your time. Especially if you're not ready quite yet to invest a lot in a set of speakers. That's a pretty good stopgap price right there. Otherwise, it's pretty stable in price. Alright, same here. Stable 2. Right. No change there at Staples. And price definitely came up at Walmart, but at least it's back in stock. That looks to be online only. iPhone 8 Plus, which is definitely a popular option these days, according to some of the reports I've seen lately. And yeah, that Lynx doesn't seem to have any life left in it, so I'll stop tracking that. Same here, it's been out of stock for a very long while. Not expecting it to make a comeback, so I'll stop tracking that as well. That one is still going. XPS 13 is usually a pretty good laptop, especially for workers on the go. Those get pretty good reviews usually. No change there. I think I'll try to finish this one, and I've reached the 50% mark. And yeah, there's no change on this link. So that's going to be it for me today. Thanks for everyone who dropped in, and I'll see you later for more TekAdvisor Live and tech word buying, which I do every Friday. So enjoy your weekend, everybody, and see you next time. Bye.